Okay, guys, hi. Welcome to another episode of Math Therapy. I'm your host, Vanessa Vicaria, and today's outline was written by David, actually. He wrote me an organized outline. He was like, Vanessa, get it together. I'm going to write you an outline. Just follow the outline. So I am not responsible for anything I say. That's not true. I am. Let's see what happens now that for the first time I have an outline written by David in front of me. Update number 1. Oh my fucking God, guys. Our Texas Instruments giveaway was insane. Okay, so in case you missed it, we are officially sponsored by Texas Instruments. For the next few months, we are celebrating Texas Instruments Evo calculator, the TI Evo. It is stunning. It is gorgeous. She has so many cool features. Anyways, once a month for the next 3 months, we are giving away one of these calculators and this whole gift box that comes with it. And last week's episode was the first episode where we shared the giveaway, shared how to enter it. And by the way, every single month, there will be a different way to enter it. We got over 100 entries. It was insane. And we have picked the winner. We used a spreadsheet randomizer, very nerdy, very cool. We have already replied to the winner with instructions on how to claim the prize. And it's so exciting. And also, I get how excited everyone is about this because I'm also excited about the entire thing. But if you didn't win, don't panic, okay? Because we're giving away one Oh My Math box each month for the next 3 months. So you'll have more chances. One episode in June, one episode in July. I can't tell you which one it's going to be. You have to listen to the podcast every week to find out, and you'll know. You'll know because at the beginning of the episode, we will tell you. Okay, cool. So stay subscribed, listen every week so you don't miss a chance to win. Number 2. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, what we're really going to be talking about, the heart of this episode is actually a follow-up, a debrief on what has happened since I recorded what can only be titled my meltdown episode. It wasn't actually called my meltdown episode. Let me actually look up what it was called so you know what I'm talking about. It was called Why Smart People Still Feel Out of Control and What to Do About It. It came out May 7th, so a couple weeks ago. And in that episode, I low key, high key, had not a full meltdown, but I was really spiraling. I was really spiraling about feeling out of control and feeling disorganized. That was kind of the heart of it. You should go listen to the entire thing. The link is in the show notes. And I basically use math therapy strategies to talk me out of my anxiety spiral. And I've gotten a lot of incredible first of all, let me just say, the reason we recorded it is because David forced me to because he was so annoyed at the spiral I was in. And he was like, I can't hear you talk about this anymore. So if you're going to keep talking about it, please just pull the mic out and record an episode. And I was like, what? So I did. And I wasn't really I was like, am I really releasing an episode where I live IRL just start spiraling? But we did. And I felt weird about it. I was like, I don't know if this is really going to land. And this was definitely a let me just trust my producer, AKA my best friend David, on this. And I'm really glad I did. No, honestly, listening back to it, I felt very cringe, but it was worth it for the comments I got because so many people reached out to me to be like, that is exactly how I have felt so many times, or that's exactly how I feel, or so many people feel this way, or all of my friends talk about this all the time. And I'm going to say I got those messages from people who I would consider very organized. So I was kind of surprised. It really felt while I was recording that episode that my inability to feel organized was a personal failing. And I think this is why I'm so happy that we're having so many conversations around math anxiety. Just to flip the switch here for a second, although I will say my meltdown was kind of related to math anxiety because it all started with me spiraling about my taxes, which, by the way, so many people message me to be like, the exact same thing happens to me with my taxes. Actually, I want to read, okay, this is a math teacher, a math podcaster, and she says, oh my God, Vanessa, I'm 100% like you when it comes to taxes. Thank you so much for making that episode. My husband always asks me how I can have a mathematics degree, come from a family of accountants, and still fuck up our taxes every time. I don't actually, but I do 100% stress the F out about them and have crazy anxiety over it. Glad to know I'm not alone. So here's actually the crazy thing about this. It's so funny that she's like, how do I still fuck up our taxes every time? Right? But and then the next sentence, she's like, I mean, I don't actually. But it doesn't matter because, well, it does matter. But it's like the feeling is the thing. And this reminds me so much of math anxiety, where kids will be like, I just make mistakes every time. I can't get it right every time. Like this kind of thing. And then when you pause to be like, well, is that true? Have you never gotten a right answer? This is something I call the choose again method, by the way, championed by Gabby Bernstein, where you actually interrogate your negative self-talk to be like, wait a second, is that actually true? Can I pick another thought to replace that thought with that is true? So in this case, I fuck up our taxes every time might turn into a thought that's, I don't actually, but I am stressed every time. And you can see how that second thought has so much more power than the first thought, which is a thought that just shuts you down. Why are you ever going to do your taxes if you fuck them up every time? But if you're like, I don't fuck them up, but I know I stress out about it, that gives you an opening to try again, to try to get help. With math, if you're like, I never get anything right, well, why are you going to bother trying? Whereas if the thought changes to, well, sometimes I get things right, but even when I do, I'm really stressed, there is an opening to actually keep trying. Anyways, okay, I'm going to tell you who this is because she has a podcast. This is Kristen, the Modern Math Teacher podcast. That's the person who sent me the message. So I just wanted to share that. So part of this is why I'm so happy I talked about it. I know it was in a very public forum, but why I think it's important to talk about these things is because it reminds us that feelings are not facts. I'm going to say that again. Feelings are not facts, right? Like, again, going back to what Kristen said. Hi, Kristen, by the way, thank you so much for letting us use you as a case study. This idea of, I feel like I fuck up my taxes every time. The fact is that I don't. Right? And sitting in that really changes things. It doesn't necessarily make the feeling go away, but it certainly takes the temperature down. It takes the charge out of the feeling because now you're like, ugh, this feeling feels icky, but a part of me knows it is not rooted in truth. And for me, hearing from you guys, like that validation of like, I feel this way too. Like there are lots of people that feel this way who you, Vanessa, would consider organized. That took the charge away from me being like, oh my God, I feel disorganized. I'm such a hot mess, to being like, okay, I feel disorganized, but objectively, my life is not a mess. My taxes, I didn't fuck them up. And other people feel this way too, who are organized. So the fact that you feel disorganized does not mean that you are disorganized. The fact that you feel that you're bad at math does not mean that you are bad at math. And that is why I always say the emotional component of math learning is so important, because it is not always rooted in ability and technicality and skill. It is not always rooted in the actual math doing. It is rooted in these feelings around it that have to be addressed. Okay. Anyways, I also want to share 3 things I did after the episode that helped, because I am now coming to you in a state where I'm no longer in the spiral. I'm actually pretty chill. I mean, chill, I don't sound chill. And like, I'm never really like chill, but I'm like, I've definitely, that whole organization piece is like in the rear view mirror. I feel fine. You know what I mean? I'm still have the general, I think I always have the general like, oh, I'm kind of behind and I've got so much to do and da-da-da-da, but it's a very different quality than the panic I was feeling when I recorded that other episode on May 7th. So here are 3 things I did, because I think these are relevant to any form of anxiety and very relevant to math anxiety, because math anxiety is just another form of anxiety. So while I'm listing these things, I'm going to try to tie them into how I would use, because the truth is I wrote math therapy from a place of knowing so much about math anxiety, helping so many students through math anxiety, research on math anxiety, and my own experience with math anxiety and other anxiety. Every time I do a talk or talk to somebody or do an interview, everyone usually is like, oh, interesting. Like, yeah, this is about math, but this can be applied to anything. And so I'm going to actually try and go through these and even like share how either this strategy came out of the classroom or how I would use it in the classroom or with someone with math anxiety. Okay. First thing I did was myth bust. If you guys know my book, that's actually the first step of math therapy. The first M of math therapy, there's 5 M's. The first one is myth busting. It is busting the myths you hold around your beliefs. So in my book, I talk about myth busting the fact that there is such a thing as this person who can do math, right? Like, how do we bust that myth? How do we get that out of someone's head so that they can see themselves as somebody who does math? And then there's so many other things you have to bust, right? There's so many other myths that you have to kind of like bust in order to make that true for you. And myth busting is really just fact checking. So the first thing I did is, it's kind of funny. Like this is really like aligning with what Kristen said here. The first thing I actually did was I spoke to my accountant. So I don't have an accountant because, as you know, in my last episode, I was like, so if anyone's an accountant, please contact me. No one has contacted me though. I'm really looking for an accountant. I spoke to an accountant for my business, my tutoring business. Anyways, I spoke to him. He doesn't do my personal taxes, but I was like, can you just take a look at what I've done? And can I ask you some questions? Because so much of my spiral was around just like, there's things I didn't understand around taxes. And I think when we don't understand things, we create stories, right? Like that's kind of what happens is we don't understand things. So we either create stories about how those things work, or we go into fear mode, right? Like, I don't understand how this works, so I must be doing something wrong. So I spoke to my accountant and actually asked some questions, and he actually explained in a very kind and informative way, and a way that did not make me feel dumb. Thank you so much, Vincenzo, if you're listening. He's definitely not listening. I actually asked him to come on the podcast, and he was like, before I even finished the question, he was like, nope. Anyways, so now I had some actual facts. I wasn't just assuming that my finances were a mess. I had some actual facts, and he was like, honestly, like, yeah, like this looks fine. And also there aren't that many that many ways to do this. Like I was like, but should I be doing this? Should I be declaring this as this? Should this be in this category? And he was like, that's actually not how it works. Like he explained some things I really had not understood and really de-escalated me. Like I was like, at the end of it, I was like, oh, like maybe there's a couple things I could do differently next year, but I'm not doing anything like crazy wrong. And oh, I didn't realize the system worked in this way. So that was really helpful to just fact check. Myth bust, right? Like myth bust the idea that like I'm doing all this stuff wrong and like making up how things work at the CRA or the IRS if you're American or whatever. And this is to me really like clarifying something for a student. I remember when I was like at the height of my failing math, the thing that got me was quadratics. I had no clue. I was like, it's this crazy fucking thing. I have no idea how to do it. There's like 5,000 steps. And I remember when my friend Emily actually tutored me. She was my first tutor. I remember she like demystified it for me. I think it was like factoring quadratics, or it was the quadratic formula. She was like, find A, B, and C, plug them into the quadratic formula. And I was like, oh my God, this is actually quite simple. It just felt like such a mess because I didn't understand it. And there was these like X squares and this parabola and like that formula, the quadratic formula looks fucking insane, right? You're like, oh my God. But she just taught me step by step how to do it. And it completely turned the temperature down. And I was like, oh, wow. Right. So that to me is very similar to me talking to my accountant. The second thing I did to myth bust how I was feeling, this was a big one, guys. I surveyed people. I surveyed people who I considered very organized, people who were on top of shit. And I surveyed them about their to-do lists. That was my obsession. If you recall, I was like, I don't have the right to-do list system, like da-da-da-da-da. So I asked people, I was like, what to-do list do you use? How do you organize yourself? Okay, here's what I learned. I thought there was like some miracle like solution to all of this. Like people were going to be like, it's this app and like, this is how I use it. No. Person number one, okay, my friend Lee, she was like, I just put things in a Google Calendar. I was like, what do you mean? She was like, I just put the things I have to do in a Google Calendar. And every day I write down the 3 things I'm going to do that day. And I was like, okay. My friend Carrie, honestly, one of the most organized people I know, she was like, I write things down. Everything is handwritten. I was like, how are you doing that? Like handwriting, like what if you have to change things around? This did not seem to be a problem for her. She was like, I write the things down, they're next to my computer and I have them written down. My friend Johnny, he was like, I use the Apple's native reminders app. Like no one actually that I talked to used a crazy app. I'm the one with the crazy app. I've been using Trello. I have like 40 lists. I'm like like it didn't really seem that way. Like no one had this magical fix. Like, you know what I mean? And so here's what I realized. Every single person had a different method, But every person had one thing in common. And that thing in common was every single one of them was like, and every day I look at that list, I maybe reorganize some stuff, and I write down the top 3 things I need to get done that day. And I was like, wow, okay, so here's what's happening. It's not actually about the tool. Like, I have a tool. They all have a tool. It's about using the tool properly. This actually reminds me, holy shit, I did not think I was going to make this connection. This reminds me of my interview with Curtis Brown from Texas Instruments. If you haven't listened to that one yet, that is called, This Will Change the Way You Think About Calculators with Curtis Brown. That was April 9th. This reminds me of that because we were talking about calculators in this way of like, people want to hate on the calculators or like, you know what I mean? And be like, oh, calculators are responsible for kids not knowing math, da 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 da. And the whole thing of that episode was like, it's not about the tool. You can actually have a calculator and get all the math wrong. If anybody teaches trig, you know this, right? I've had students get answers to an entire test wrong because their calculator was in radians instead of degrees. Like, if you know, you know. You know what I mean? Like, you can get a million things wrong by not using brackets, and your calculator, you have one of the versions that doesn't have BEDMAS on it. Like, do you know what I mean? This is what I learned. I'm like, I have the tool. I don't need to be spending more time looking for a new to-do list app. I'm not using my tool properly. And guys, I have to be honest, I'm still not. Like, for the first couple of days after I learned this, I was like, all right, get up in the morning, look at your list, reorganize things, move, prioritize, pick 3 things to do. I did it for 2 days. It was amazing. I stopped doing it. And now I'm like, oh God, I'm like so off track. What am I supposed to be doing? And it's like, I'm just not using the tool properly. And I think that is also really like the lesson there is crazy because it's like students have the tools. They have their Chromebooks, they have Desmos, like whatever. And so then they feel kind of dumb because they're like, well, it's not working. And it could be because they don't know how to use the tool properly. You know where I actually think this comes across the most is in the concept of studying, right? Students will be like, well, I'm studying. Like you know what I mean? They're studying and then they don't get the results they want. And then they're like, see, I can't do it. But then you find out that their version of studying was reading the notes over and over again. Or doing questions and never checking the solution, so they never knew they were doing the questions wrong. And you're like, oh, you're doing the thing, but you're not doing it in an effective way. And if I could just show you this tweak, that would change everything. But there's nothing like feeling like you're doing the thing and not getting the results you want. And in my case, I was like, I have this to-do list. It's so like, I add the things to it. I have them organized by date. And it's like, yeah, but I wasn't using the tool effectively. So myth busting, all of that was so helpful. And can I tell you something else? Every one of these people I talk to were like, I also feel disorganized. I also feel like I'm juggling stuff. And like, I don't, they were like, I don't always get everything done on my to-do list. And I was like, oh, okay. So it's not a personal failing if I don't get everything done on my to-do list. It's not a personal failing if you make some mistakes in math class, right? Like, I think we just have this assumption that other people do these things to perfection. Okay. So that was the first thing I did. Myth bust, the myth of the tool, myth bust, the idea that everyone else has a better system than me, myth bust, the fact that because I didn't understand all my taxes, I was doing them wrong. Myth bust some of my actual beliefs about how taxes work. Step number 2 was organize, but more importantly, I prioritized. I did that for a couple of days, as you just know, right? Like, I was trying to incorporate prioritizing as more of a routine, this daily routine. That is the key of what everyone told me. And I have to say, I've fallen off the wagon there. But when I was doing that, it really, really did help. So there was that piece. And then there was also the piece of I get in the habit of like something might not be a priority, but it's easier to do. So I'll do that thing instead, being like, oh, well, I'm doing stuff on my to-do list. But then I end the day stressed because I haven't done the one thing that I really needed to get done or wanted to get done that was hard, right? Like I do find that even if I do like 10 tasks, but I don't do the one thing that I'm really avoiding, I feel uneasy. Right. And it's like, this is like classic to-do list psychology. Like you're supposed to like put this thing on the top of your list. That's like, if I get this one thing done today, I'll feel amazing. Right. Or like all these other people put their top 3 things they really want to get done. This is exactly like math to me. Exactly. Because students will do questions. Again, they'll study, they'll do all these questions, but they won't do the ones that they hate or that they're really avoiding. And then they still don't get that feeling of accomplishment or confidence because they kind of know in the back of their heads, there's this thing lurking that they don't understand how to do. So like, I think this is a really good method, especially if you're still assigning homework or you want students to do practice problems. Maybe we could actually, that would be cool. Maybe we could treat our are assigning of practice to students this way. Like teach them the skill of being like, put the top 3 problems on your list that you will feel amazing if you solve, and then put everything underneath that. Right? As opposed to being like, here's a sheet of practice problems, just work through them in order. Like teach them how to prioritize what would be most important for their self-efficacy and skill building. And so that I think was like kind of a big deal for me to realize, and I'm still working on it. And I remember I listened to this episode of Mel Robbins, and she was talking to, I can't remember. I really can't remember. I'll get David to put it in the show notes. She was talking to, maybe it was Seth Godin. That name rings a bell. And he said something like, everyone dies with a to-do list. And I was like, oh my God, right? It's not like people like at some point in their lives are like, well, yeah, all right, I've got nothing else to do. There's nothing else on the list. Like, I guess I'm done. No, we live full lives and we're constantly coming up with ideas and more things to do. Like we replenish our to-do list the second it's empty. So to remember, like, we're always going to feel that way to some degree, that we're not done everything. And that's a good thing. I think that's actually a gift to be like, wow, there's so much I want to do. It's more about taking away the feeling of guilt of not doing those things and being like, yeah, there's so much I want to do because I'm a human being with ideas. Like, cool. Like, awesome. Whatever I get done is great. You know what I mean? And of course, there's things you have to get done, but most stuff I realized on my list, that was another thing about prioritizing. Like, as soon as I wrote or recorded that meltdown episode, I went to my list and was like, I'm moving everything that is not essential to a non-essentials list. And it was hard. I'd be like, oh, but I really want to, oh, but it'd be so cool if I did that. Oh, but it's like, yes, but is this essential? No. And once I wanted to get my friend a gift. I'm like, but it's actually not essential. It would be nice if I got her a gift, but it wasn't essential. So I moved everything to that list. And when I saw the essential stuff left on my list, I was like, okay, I have space for maybe 5 more things. Then I could go to the non-essentials list and move a couple things over that I really wanted to do. But to keep being like, I only need to look at the essentials part of my list, and only if I have time do I look at the rest, that was important. Okay, so step number 1, the first thing I did was myth bust. The second was organize, but more importantly, prioritize. And the third is I released the pressure so I could actually get to work. This was a huge deal. I was spiraling. You guys heard me. I was spiraling. I could not do anything. All I was doing was moving shit around on my to-do list. That's all I was doing. Moving shit. Like, it was like I couldn't actually do any of the things on the list. And I released the pressure. Like, first of all, I vented on the podcast. And I have to be honest, like, that is the thing that for me, like, we're all different, but outer processing is the thing for me that helps me clarify. Like, some people clarify through journaling. Actually, side note, guys, this is really important for me to say. I used to be the most prolific journaler. I have like literally boxes of journals from like high school onwards. You know what I mean? Like, I have so many books. And every time I try to journal lately, I have to stop because my hand hurts. And the other day I went to write someone a birthday card, and 30 seconds in, like, my hand hurt so much. And you know what I realized? My hand hurts because I don't ever engage in the act of writing. So my hand muscles do not know how to do that task anymore. How fucked is that? It's been that long since I've written something that my hand hurts after 30 seconds. And so, like, that means I have to start, like, I felt like that was very disturbing to me. Like, I was like, this is actually messed up. So I don't want to add this to my to-do list, but I really do think I need to practice writing for like 60 seconds a day and start building up. It's like going to the gym for my hand. I'm not committing to doing this. I'm just telling you. Anyways, Kate, the point is that my like outer processing for me is so essential. Like, you guys heard probably in that meltdown episode why smart people still feel out of control and what to do about it. I was de-escalated by the end. I was really a lot calmer. And for me, outer processing is really the thing, is releasing that pressure. And for others, it might not be like start chatting live on a podcast. It might be chatting with a friend, journaling, using a productivity app, an AI assistant, like whatever will help you get those feelings out. I mean, I love talking to a friend and hearing that reflected back, like even surveying people and telling them how I felt really, really helped me. And it really, really took the pressure off so I could actually focus on the task at hand and see things more clearly. And in math therapy, I call this de-escalation, right? Like, we know that when we're in a state of anxiety, when we're in one of the 4 trauma responses, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, which I was in many of those, right? Like, I was like teetering between like flight and just being like, fuck this, I don't want to do anything. Like, freeze, not being able to do a thing. Fight, like literally being so pissed off and angry that I was this way. Like, when we're in one of those, we can't actually do the thing we need to help ourselves. So for me, outer processing really helped take the temperature down. That's why one of like my biggest things I suggest in math therapy is when a student or a person is just like, I can't do this, I suck at this, is just being like, hey, hold on a second. Like, do you really feel that way? Like, tell me why. Or have you had like bad experiences in math? Or can you remember a time when you didn't feel this way? Helping somebody else engage in conversation is so helpful for them because clarity often comes as they are talking, right? It doesn't come from us telling someone. It comes from them revealing to themselves how they feel. And that's also why math therapy journaling is such a big deal for me. Like, as you guys know, I have like pages and pages of journal prompts. Maybe I'll make those available at some point. If you guys want them, text the podcast if you're like, I would love a journal prompt, and I'll find a way to make those available. Right now, they're just available if you have my book, but I can just make a link available. Anyways, journaling, talking, that kind of stuff is so important for so many people to release the pressure, right? Often when we talk it all out, we're like, okay, I can kind of see more clearly, or at least I feel seen and witnessed. I think that's honestly probably a big thing for me, is like why I like talking to people so much more, whether it's a friend or whether it's on the podcast. There is something really, really validating about being witnessed in your anxiety, of having somebody else see you, hear you, acknowledge you, validate you, right? And even better if someone can relate to you. In trauma-informed education, we talk about this a lot, of like students needing to be witnessed often. Like if a student is acting up in class or they're exhibiting off-task behavior, often they really do need to be witnessed in that, right? Because even though it can be really distracting to the class, to have a conversation with them about it, to say, I acknowledge that something's going on with you, like, you know, that kind of idea can really, really be helpful to someone's healing. So just throwing that out there. Okay. Wow. We did it. I went through the things. I'm at 30 minutes here, but you know, David's probably taken some stuff out. So just to recap, those three things: myth busting, organizing and prioritizing, releasing the pressure so I could actually get to work. I do honestly feel so much better, but I will say the fourth thing, and the way I'm going to end this episode, the fourth thing I did is I booked a vacation. Guys, I'm serious. I booked a vacation. I have not been on vacation since I went to Bali last March. I've not even taken a 2-day vacation. So I'm really, 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 really so excited. I'm going away for a week. And that means there will be no episode next week. However, and I have to tell you guys something. So when I book vacations, I only have one rule. Okay. And my rule is I'm not allowed to do anything productive. Like I cannot produce anything because like this is my, right? I'm not allowed to be looking at my to-do list. I cannot be answering emails like unless they're urgent. Like I'm actually going to try to be really strict about this. It's 1 week, right? Which I'm nervous about, but I'm also like, I know I need it so badly. So for that reason, there is not going to be an episode next week, but I actually have really, really exciting news. So a couple of months ago, I did this top secret thing with Imagine Learning. It was the coolest thing. They literally showed up to my tutoring center. They flew here from Scotland, from Texas, from other parts in the US. A group of like, I can't remember how many, it doesn't matter. A group of them flew here, came to my tutoring studio so that I could give their host, Lauren Keeling, live math therapy for a 3-part series they're doing on math anxiety. God, this is not a regular like I love our podcast. Our podcast is great. This is next fucking level. Like if you listen to like Serial or Wondery or like True Crime, that is what their podcast is like. It is unbelievable. It is a tale, like, and it's a 3-part series. Okay. So the first episode dropped yesterday. Okay. So that kind of sets the stage. And at the end, there's a little trailer for next week's episode, which will be clips of, it'll be like a big chunk of me and the host, Lauren Keeling, doing math therapy. But there will also be sound bites and parts with Deborah Peart, who we love, the mather queen, and a therapist, Emma Fogel, who was one of my first students. So it's going to be an epic episode, and it drops next Wednesday. So like if you wanted your Thursday fix of math therapy, you could just wait to Thursday and download it then, or you could listen to it on Wednesday. So it's the Imagine Learning podcast. It's called Heart work. I'll put the link in the show notes so you can actually catch up on yesterday's episode so you can be ready for next week. And at the end of it all, we're going to be co-releasing a full video episode of me giving Lauren Keeling straight math therapy for 40 minutes. Guys, I'm telling you, this thing is a masterpiece. They were at my tutoring center for literally 8 hours. Okay. Like they flew to Toronto. They were there for 8 hours. We did so much fun stuff. It is like, it's a true production. Someone needs to give us a Netflix show. I am literally manifesting that into the world. Okay. So we'll be taking next week off, but you're going to go listen to Heartwork instead. And then we'll be back the following week with another interview. I've got a couple of interviews banked that are just incredible. And remember, another Texas Instruments giveaway will be coming in June. And I'm doing a bonus Texas Instruments giveaway on Instagram in a couple of weeks. So make sure you're following me at The Math Guru. Oh my God. Guys, thank you all for listening, for all the encouraging words about the podcast. It means so much to see how many of you are listening, to hear how the podcast is helping so many people. It's helping me. So thank you guys so much. And thank you for the 100 plus of you who texted the podcast to enter the giveaway. You now all know how to text the podcast. So text me, tell me what you loved about this episode. Tell me what you want to hear an episode on. Like I am always like I want to do solo episodes, but I don't know about what. So if there's something you'd like to hear me talk about, let me know. I love you guys so much. You rock. You can find the link to text the podcast in the show notes. You can DM me at The Math Guru on Instagram. Have an amazing week. Take some time for self-care, even if it's 5 minutes or an hour or a weekend or a week. Just make sure that you don't end up like me 2 weeks ago. And thank you guys so much for being a part of my weekly healing. Today's episode is a quick episode to say hello, Gemini season. May 21st. During Gemini season, we're up, we're down, we're all over the place. We are celebrating the twins. We are celebrating duality. And that's why this is going to be a mishmash episode. An episode, okay, that was not in David's outline, by the way. That was ad lib. In case you were wondering, David was not like, talk about Gemini season.